We need to dispense with the fiction that all is serene in the Starmer government. This week, beneath the polite euphemisms of budget reviews and departmental allocations, there's been political theatre, a standoff between Chancellor Rachel Reeves and the Defence Ministry and the Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero, Ed Miliband. And the victor? The man once mocked as Red Ed, now rather more shrewdly rebranded as Resilient Ed. And at the heart of the row was Miliband's £13.2 billion warm homes plan, the flagship scheme promising insulation, heat pumps and solar panels for more than 1 million homes, a social and environmental mission rolled into one, tackling fuel poverty, slashing carbon emissions and bolstering domestic energy efficiency. Reeves, facing an increasingly untenable £30 billion fiscal hole of her own making, had targeted the plan for possible cuts. The Treasury, that most implacable of British institutions, wanted savings and fast. And by the way, I think yesterday was the first time that Kemi Badenoch actually, was it yesterday or the day before? Wednesday. First time that Kemi Badenoch actually said what she should have been saying, or what the Conservative Party should have been saying the moment they got into opposition, that this 22 billion black hole is not proven. There's no record of it. This is fantasy economics and fantasy rhetoric. But anyway, in terms of Miliband dug in. And it's no ordinary departmental dispute. It was a battle over the soul of Labour's policy direction, a contest between green ambition and grey accountancy. I am no fan of net zero. I think net zero is a misunderstanding. I am a fan of dealing with climate change deeply. But net zero, I think, is not it's a plaster on a gaping wound. And to put our faith in net zero is to put our faith in something which doesn't work. Reeves is a chancellor in retreat only days before but by the way, I'm not a fan of Rachel Reeves either. So if I've got to toss up between Rachel Reeves and Ed Miliband, I know exactly who I prefer. Only days before this confrontation, Reeves had already been forced into a partial U-turn on wider winter fuel payments after a sharp backlash from MPs and pensioners, and now she's lost again to a colleague whose political obituary was written a decade ago. Poor Ted. Not only did she fail to secure the cuts, she signalled her surrender by trotting out the line that manifesto commitments will be honoured. This after having already suggested that not every department will get what they want. It's becoming an embarrassing pattern, a chancellor boxed in by her own fiscal rules, a government that can't raise taxes, won't borrow more, and now, evidently, can't even say no to Ed Miliband. The remarkable part is that Miliband's position has strengthened, even as he's become a target for right-wing press caricature. His persistence, reportedly including heated Treasury meetings and fierce resistance to the spending cuts, has paid off. This is no mere policy preservation, it's a political victory, a signal that Miliband, once airbrushed out of Labour's future, now stands as a moral conscience within the cabinet, not a fringe zealot, as Andrew Bowie would have us believe, but a long-game strategist, keeping Labour tethered to a vision. And that vision, for all its cost and controversy, includes a legally binding net zero commitment by 2050, something now explicitly disavowed by both Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch. What does this say about Reeves? Increasingly, she is isolated. Her spending plans are under siege from both the left, Angela Rayner has demanded tax rises, and the right, the Sun calls her net stupid. Her allies whisper of fiscal discipline, her critics shout about moral cowardice. Worse still, her credibility with voters is wobbling. The warm homes climb down might please the climate lobby, but it infuriates red wall voters who fear green policies will hike their bills. Meanwhile, the promised economic growth that was meant to fund all this has not materialised. And Trump's trade war has only made things worse. Labour now looks stuck, unable to cut, unable to tax, afraid to tax, scared of the voters. This isn't just a Miliband-Reeves squabble, it's symptomatic of a deeper malaise, Labour's lack of coherent narrative. Starmer's team chants plan for change, but delivers vacillation and infighting, and the party of sober confidence and competence is starting to look unsure, unsteady about what it actually wants to be, managerial, moral, or messianic. The contrast is glaring. Milliband, derided by some as a relic of the past, is one of the few in cabinet who seems to know what he stands for. Reeves, crowned as the economic grown-up, now appears to be governing through panic and U-turn. So yes, Ed Miliband won this round. Rachel Reeves lost, and Keir Starmer, so fond of strategic ambiguity, is once again exposed as an absentee manager presiding over unresolved ideological tension. The Warm Homes plan will go ahead, but if Labour cannot resolve its internal contradictions between fiscal rigidity and policy ambition, Warm Homes will not be enough to shield it from the political cold front heading its way. In short, Miliband has reminded us that conviction, however unfashionable, still has a place in British politics. And Reeves, meanwhile, must decide whether she is to be a chancellor or merely a cashier. One thing is certain, the thermostat in cabinet just got a lot